Assalamu alaikum dear students. Okay, so we are done with glycolysis, Krebs cycle, and the third step in aerobic respiration is now electron transport system and oxidative phosphorylation. So electron transport system occurs through a chain of electron transport proteins which is known as electron transport chain, and this electron transport chain it is present on the inner membrane of mitochondria, or you can say the cristae. So it is the third step of respiration and it takes place in inner mitochondrial membrane or the cristae. Now there are actually what happens here is that NADH2 and FADH2 which are formed during glycolysis and Krebs cycle, they are oxidized to NAD and FAD. During this oxidation process, electrons pass through series of electron carriers, like there are coenzyme Q, cytochrome B, C, A and A3. And ADP is phosphorylated to ATP by the addition of inorganic phosphate. Since oxidation of NADH and FADH2 is associated with the synthesis of ATP, it is called oxidative phosphorylation. So we have already talked about this photophosphorylation in photosynthesis, where this ATP was produced using light in chloroplasts. But here it is the oxidation reactions. It is the oxidations of NADH2 and FADH2 which yield ATP. So that is why it is called as oxidative phosphorylation. And here you can see the electron transport chain. So what you are seeing here, this is the inner mitochondrial membrane, the phosphobilipid layer, and on this inner mitochondrial membrane there are different complexes. Actually there are four complexes which are actually the electron carriers. The complex 5, it is the ATP synthetase complex which forms the ATP. So complex 1, at complex 1 what happens, NADH2 gets oxidized to NAD positive and protons are released inside the inside this intermembrane space. So intermembrane space is the space between outer membrane and inner membrane of mitochondria. Then electrons are transported to second complex where succinate gets converted to fumarate, and of course here again the electrons are removed and protons are removed which are put in the intermembrane space. So this is the coenzyme Q complex. Third complex is third complex, again at third complex the protons are released in the intermembrane space, and then there is cytochrome C complex, and at complex 4 which is known as cytochrome oxidase complex where oxygen gets converted to water, and again protons are released in the intermembrane space. And at the complex 5 it is the ATP synthase complex where ADP and inorganic phosphate they combine to form ATP and water. And what happens actually here, the protons which are present in the intermembrane space, when they come back they form a diffusion pressure in the intermembrane space. Now in this when they form a diffusion pressure they flow through this ATPase complex which is the complex 5, and when they flow through it they release energy. Now that energy which is released by these protons, it is used for the conversion of ADP plus inorganic phosphate into ATP. So that is where we get the ATP. Now let's see about the stoichiometry. How many net ATP molecules are formed during aerobic respiration? So this diagram here, it will show you the ATP theoretical yield. How many molecules of ATP are produced during a complete oxidation, during a complete breakdown metabolism of one glucose molecule. So what you have seen in glycolysis, in glycolysis glucose is converted to pyruvate through glycolytic process, and 2 ATP are used and 2 ATP are actually released. Generally what happens in glycolysis, 4 molecules of ATP are produced but 2 are used in the preparatory phase that I already told you in the investment phase, and in the payoff phase 2 molecules of ATP are released. So you can see here 2 molecules of ATP. Then again in glycolysis 2 NADPH are produced, 2 NADH molecules are produced, and these 2 NADH produces 2 molecules of ATP. One ATP molecule produces one NADH2 molecule produces 2 ATP molecules, and 2 will produce 4. So from 2 NADH molecules from glycolysis we will get 4 molecules of ATP. And then next point was this oxidative decarboxylation of pyruvate to get converted to acetyl coenzyme A, and in that you saw that 2 NADH were produced, and then those 2 NADH also will produce 6 ATP molecules. And then from this Krebs cycle we get directly 2 ATP molecules, And from Krebs cycle again we get 6 molecules of NADH, that means 18 molecules of ATP. We also get 2 molecules of FADH2, that is 4 molecules of ATP. So the total net yield of ATP is 36 molecules, that you will see here on the right side of this image, that 4, 2, 6, 2, 18 and 4, this combines, this total is to 36 molecules of ATP. So you should remember that during the metabolism of 1 molecule of glucose we get 36 molecules of ATP during aerobic respiration. Okay, so this is all for today. Tomorrow we are going to talk about this respiratory quotient. Thank you.